Hey everyone, we're back with another What Sold. This is going to be part one. Basically, it's 4 days of sales, Monday through Thursday, for what I've sold part-time here on eBay. I do work a full-time job, like I mentioned. This is what I do to make some extra money for the family so we can do things, have some extra spending money, things like that. Hopefully you guys can pick up a couple items to use in your own eBay business, maybe look out for when you're at garage sales, thrift stores, what have you, and then incorporate those, and also maybe learn from some of the mistakes that I made or stuff that sold not too well or anything like that. If you guys do have any questions, please be sure to let me know. I appreciate that. We've got a lot of new subscribers out there. And I know a lot of you are at different reselling levels. Everybody's got to start somewhere. So if you have a question, feel free to ask. I try to get to everybody. And if I don't, just give me a couple days because sometimes I'm a little behind, but I do try to get to everybody. So let's get into it. First off, you guys should see a Lullaby Bear, like little crib thing. Basically, it shoots out a little light that goes on the roof and kind of spins around, and it sings songs, little lullaby songs. This was a throw-in with the big storage unit buy that I had. I bought a bunch of stuff from this guy that I call Storage Unit Guy. He buys storage units, and I put this in the pile, tested it out, it works. I ended up selling for 23 shipped, and it did go first class. So pretty cool, something to look out for maybe if you can find it for cheap. And this one's cool. It's a stress eraser. It's a biofeedback device. Not sure exactly how it works. You have to put your little finger in this little thing and it kind of tests your heartbeat, I guess, and stuff like that. Maybe blood pressure or whatever, I don't know. But it did seem to work. All the little buttons worked and different screens came up. I didn't test it beyond that, but I did list it and it sold for 80 shipped and it went global shipping program. I'm always looking for little electronics, things like this that might be unique, remotes, whatever I can, throw them in a pile and see if we can make some money on them. So pretty good there. Here's a handy mandy. This is a little toy. It's like I guess a plastic figure or whatever. He's pretty tall though. He usually has a bunch of tools that you can get with him. If you've ever seen the Handy Manny show, he has basically a bunch of tools that can like talk or whatever. Those actually can sell too. This was just a figure though. He did talk. He did work. He's about 10 inches and he sold for 20 shipped. He cost about $8 to ship, so not a great profit on there, but I bought a bunch of toys. He was in there and he was worth the time to list. This is an old list, and you can tell the picture's not that great. This is a Welch Allyn Sure Temp thermometer, just the base. It doesn't have the actual thermometer hooked up or whatever. This thing sold for $14.99. I had it listed for quite a while. This is one of those ones where I am just happy to get rid of it. This is a Nada chair. It's like a lumbar support type thing. It's in a little bag, but it opens up to like a little brace you can put behind you. This was $2 at a garage sale. I had looked up Nada chair when I was there. I didn't find the exact one, but I saw some of them selling for 20 to 30, 40 bucks. I ended up picking it up. It was in good shape. Had one little stain, but in pretty good shape. And it sold for 32 shipped. And I'm pretty sure that still went first class or maybe in a padded flat rate. Here's a little microphone little piece here. This was from the Rock and Roll buy. Ended up just being thrown in with a box of books. I listed it and it sold for 12 shipped first class, super easy, and it sold almost in like a day or two, so really quickly. Here is a cassette. This is Black Sheep from the Hip Hop cassette buy. We're going to sell a couple other cassettes from that buy, but just to clarify, it was 20 bucks to buy a bunch of cassettes. Most of them were rap and hip hop. A lot of good stuff in there. We've made quite a bit of sales out of that, and we still have probably 30 or 40 more cassettes to sell. Here's one of them right here. The Black Sheep again sold for $10 shipped. It cost about $2.80 to ship medium on a little 6x4x4 box with some bubble wrap. Very happy with that buy, and I love selling smalls like that. Here's a Heavy Metal VHS. This is from the Rock and Roll buy as well. This was $10 a sale. It again cost about $2.80 to ship it. You just put a little bubble wrap on it, throw it in the bubble mailer, and it goes out medium mail. So that one sold pretty quick. Here's a little Jesus Sees Us doll. I don't know much about this brand or anything like that. Couldn't find much on it, but it is brand new sealed. It comes with a book as well. I got it from a Christian thrift store that was selling some stuff. I paid like $6 for it. I thought I might get like 40 at first for it. I thought it was unique. It sat for a while, and then someone finally came through and offered 30 bucks. I think it was to like Louisiana or something like that. And so it ended up costing me about $8 or $9 to ship it. So we made a little bit of money there. I ended up selling it because it just seemed like it was probably going to be a hard sell. Not many people would be searching for that specific item, but happy to get rid of it. Another cassette. This is the Ghetto Boys Till Death Do Us Part. Same hip hop buy. That one sold for 14 shipped. This is a CD. I've been selling a lot of media like those cassettes, CDs, DVDs, books. I'm really enjoying them just because the very little effort, maybe 1 or 2 pictures max, put them in a bubble mailer to ship them or whatever the case is, and usually the shipping's very cheap. This one sold overnight after I listed Alexander O'Neill. It was in a different CD buy that I had. I bought a big box for I think 20 bucks. and this one was in there and it sold for 12 shipped. Again, it sold right away. I bought a bunch of fairies and different Disney statues and all kinds of figures and stuff like that. This is one of the smaller ones. It sold for 28 shipped. Some of you may remember that when I bought this particular stuff, there was a guy there who was trying to basically take stuff out of my pile that I had bought at this garage sale, and he was like, he was telling the guy, I'm going to take all this stuff from his pile and then give me a price. And I was like, no, that's my stuff. I already found it. I'm going to buy it. So we kind of got into it a little bit. It ended up working out. I ended up getting everything, but it was actually $1,200 spent on everything, but we got a whole bunch of figures, Disney stuff, all kinds of collectibles. This is just one of the smaller ones, and it sold for 28 shipped. Here's a little bread maker. This one, not a bread maker, just a little paddle that goes inside the bread pan. That one sold for 20 shipped. I've said this before, I part out these kitchen items. If you buy a bread maker, you can part out the pan and the paddle for sure. I know I've heard of people parting out the doors as well, like the little lids to them. All kinds of stuff you can find with different things. Food processors you can part out, juicers. It's probably worth your time to take a look at them. This is a little, I guess, a retail arbitrage. It's basically a discount store, and they sell a lot of stuff there that they get from pallets and things like that. These were 2 brand new deodorants, the coconut vanilla, I guess, scent, and they ended up selling for 25 shipped, and we paid about $2 each plus tax for these. So that was a pretty good deal. The only downside was they didn't have any more. I wish they had more so I could have done a multi-quantity listing. Those are the best. Here's a pedal. This is from the Rock and Roll By. It's a Digitech Trio. On this one, it ends up, it was tested out by my friend, and it sold for $115 shipped. I ended up with like 6 pedals out of the Rock and Roll By, and they've all sold by this point. And I think there's probably $300 or $400 in sales just in pedals, so that's pretty good. Disney cars. This is the Hudson Hornet, the supercharged one. And it's brand new seal, but the packaging's a little beat up. We got 2 of the same exact ones, and we ended up selling those for, we sold one for $20. The other one's listed for $20 as well. Here's Max Payne. This is a PS2 game, pretty generic, but it sold for 9 shipped. These just go in a bubble mailer. I usually will sell a game if it sells for $8 or more. Here's a Monopoly game. This one sold for $8. This is a PC one. It came with a bunch of old PC stuff. I like selling old PC games. Usually I like the big box ones. They seem to have more value. This one sold for the 8 shipped. Didn't take too long to sell though. Here's a manual. Some of you that have watched me know that I spent at one point a whole bunch of money, $500 on just 31 or something boxes full of car manuals. It was a great deal. Took a long time to get through them, but I've been selling them for over a year now. This one ended up selling for $20. It's one. I had 2 of these ones. I think I've sold both already for 20 shipped. This is basically someone's custom No Doubt jacket. They put a bunch of patches on there, some on the front as well. It's just a generic Dickies jacket, but they put all these patches. This ended up selling on the best offer at $30. I think I paid $2 at a garage sale. I thought, oh, maybe someone would want this. It sat for a long time. I'm just happy to get rid of it for that $30. Really, I should have been careful listing it because it really isn't officially a No Doubt thing, so I could have potentially gotten a little trouble there, but I'm happy that it did sell. Here's a Shadow Skill anime like manga VHS. It's part 1 and 2. When I was at one of my sources, he had these off to the side and he was going to sell them in his garage sale. And I was like, hey, what are you doing with those? And he's like, you can have them if you want them. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I threw them in my pile, and they ended up selling for 15 shipped, and they sold like within 4 hours of listing them. So that was awesome. I just bubble wrapped them again, threw them in a bubble mailer, media mail shipping. A Polaroid Impulse SE. This is a autofocus camera here. This one sold for 27 shipped, which is pretty good for an Impulse camera. Some of the regular Impulse ones don't do as well, but getting the 27 shipped on this, I think it went in a padded flat rate, or maybe it cost $8 to ship it, something like that. You used to be able to sell Polaroids all the time for like 28 or 30 shipped to Retrospect. Some of you may remember them. Those were the days, but the camera prices have really come down for the generic Polaroids. Here is a chord book for the guitar. This one sold for 15 shipped. It's from the Rock and Roll By, which you guys probably could have guessed, because anything music themed is probably from them right now. That sold for 15 shipped. And again, if you wonder why I'm looking down, guys, it's because down here is my computer with all the screenshots, so I got to keep checking them out. This one is probably my favorite sale in the whole video you guys are going to see. It is 3 Care Bear Cousins plush in the box. They come with DVDs, but the boxes are beat up. My source got these. He picked them up in the morning, called me up and said, hey, I got these and some other stuff. He wanted $5 each for these. I got 3 of them, and they sold within 1 day at $70 each, free shipping. The buyer was all in $210. They lived in Utah, which is pretty close to me here in California, so I think we spent like $14 or $15 to ship them FedEx. They don't weigh a whole lot. They're big boxes, but they don't weigh a whole lot because they're plush. But $210 out of a $15 investment, and it sold basically in 1 day. So that's pretty awesome right there. And the buyer did leave positive feedback on all of them, so that was good. We have some Heather Graham paperback books. I am a big proponent of selling books on eBay. And a lot of people scan for Amazon. You can definitely make great money there. But if you can find lots of books or a series of books, you can actually do pretty well on eBay with those. This is a lot of Heather Graham ones. There's 9 in the whole set here. I think I paid anywhere from 25 to 50 cents for these at the library sale, and they ended up selling for 25 ship. Now it costs about $4 and some change to ship these medium mail, but there was some profit to be made there, and because medium mail shipping is so cheap, a lot of the times that's what makes these book lots worth it, is so you don't have to pay the normal price based on weight that priority might be. You can get that medium mail rate and make some extra money on it. Here's a Braves jersey. This was $15 from a source of mine I used to have a long time ago, a couple years now. I bought jerseys from this guy and video games all the time. Unfortunately, that's no longer an option, but this particular jersey, there were 2 Braves Justin Hayward jerseys. They were both brand new with tags. I paid $15 each. I think I sold one for about $40 a while back, and then this one finally sold for $33. Wasn't really a great buy, but when I was buying from him, I kind of had to buy a lot of inventory all the time. That was kind of the agreement we had, is that certain jerseys had a certain price based on what they were, new with tag, basketball, kids, whatever it would be, and I would just kind of buy a lot of stuff in bulk. And I would turn some stuff away, but I had to buy enough for it to be worth it, because other people wanted a shot at the inventory, and I was the only one to get it at that time, so I ended up paying up for this one. It sold for $33 shipped. I think it went into padded flat rate. We made some money, but not really the greatest buy. This one is a good buy, though. This is a Guitar Hero 5 wireless dongle. This was $1 at a garage sale. It was just sitting there. They didn't have any video game stuff, but they just had this dongle. Paid $1 for it, and it sold for 60 ship, which is awesome. And I want to say it sold in like a couple days. So look out for those dongles. Not all of them are made the same, though. Some are lesser quality. Some will sell for that like 10 to 12 mark, which still might be worth it for $1. It's an easy sale, but some of them go really, really, really great. Here's a T2 Judgment Day Terminator figure. This one ended up being a $30 sale on a best offer. It came from the $1,600 Lego toy and video game buy. Over the course of 8 days or so, I bought 3 different purchases from Storage Unit Guy. He had got a unit full of toys and video games and Legos. And at first I bought like $400 worth of video games, and then I ended up buying $1,000 worth of Legos and toys, and then I came back again and bought another $200 of Mega Bloks and Halo figures, all from that same set. He hadn't gone through everything yet, that's why I bought it in different pieces. So it was $1,600. This Judgment Day figure was in there, and it sold for $30 shipped. I want to say we're somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000 in sales on that, which is pretty good, and we still have stuff to go, and I still have a bunch of systems to test. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Here's a really good remote. It's a Polk Audio little soundbar remote, something that most people might look over because they think, oh, it doesn't look, kind of looks plain, nothing crazy, not Sony or whatever, but this one sold for $33 ship, which is awesome for a little remote. If you find these remotes, guys, if you can get them for cheap or throw them in a pile and make a bundle, I encourage you to pick up many different kinds of remotes. You know, it doesn't have to be Sony or Panasonic or Pioneer, whatever. It might be RCA, it could be anything, but some of them sell, and it's really easy to test them. You put the batteries in and do the little camera trick. You can go on YouTube and figure out how if you don't know, but very easy. In my experience, very low return rate. If you test them out and make sure the buttons work, I don't get a lot of returns on them, and for the most part, easy to ship and stuff like that. So low cost shipping, low cost investment, and some of them can go for great money. I've sold a bed remote to like a movable bed. It was an old one too, and the remote sold for 110 ship just for one remote. So it might be worth your time to look out for those. Here's a Thomas the Train. His name's Duck, I guess. He's a motorized one. He sold for 28 shipped. When I got that lullaby thing from the beginning, you guys may have seen that on the screen. The first one, that same buy, this guy came with it as well. He was in that same deal, and he sold for 28 shipped. He goes first class shipping. Thomas the Train stuff has kind of come down a little bit in price, some of it, but it still might be worth your time. If you can get a box of trains for pretty cheap, some of them sell really well and they're worth selling by themselves. Other ones you might want to lot them together and sell them that way, but I would still at least take a look at them and see what you got in there, because there might be some money. The Poseidon Adventure DVD sold for 8 ship. This is from the Rock and Roll Buy, just a common DVD. Even had a little sticker on there, and of course, Lazy Me didn't take it off, but it still sold for 8 ship. Didn't affect the sale. Here's some Kincaid Witches and Goblins books. These were just cool looking. They had like kind of like trolls and ogres and different stuff on them, but the books were really tattered and beat up. The spines kind of falling apart. I looked up the set, and a whole set of them could go for great money if you had more. I only had 2, but mine sold for 20 shipped, and I did get positive feedback, even though the condition was rough. They do ship medium mail. I think it costs like $4 to ship them. So we made some money there, which is pretty good. Again, I like selling books. Here's another little book set. This is a synagogue service. This was actually from a free pile on the side of the road. My son and I were driving home, and we saw this pile of stuff that said free. So of course the picker in me or whatever just had to get out and take a look. It was mostly just trash. My son stayed in the car because he was kind of embarrassed. He was 8 at the time, I think. And he was like, I don't want to look through someone's trash. But of course, I looked through, found this. It was the only thing I found with these little books here, and they sold for 15, shipped on the best offer. So I guess we made some money. It did take over a year for it to sell, but happy to get rid of it. Here's a pillowcase. This is an old Lakers ones from the 80s. It's brand new sealed. It looks like it's a pretty thin, kind of material. Wouldn't say it's anything crazy, but I did get it for, I think, $1 at an estate sale, and it sold for 25 shipped. So it went first class. Happy about that. Anything brand new sealed from the 80s is probably worth taking a look at the very least. Plus, it was sports themed. Kobe passed away this year, so a lot of things kind of factor in for why I thought this one might sell. Altered Beast for the Genesis. This sold for 17 shipped. It just is what it is. It's a game in a case. I know this game sells. That's why I picked it up. I think I paid $1 for it. I also got a loose cartridge, which sold as well, I think for $10, something like that. This game always seems to sell, though. I don't find a lot of Genesis stuff, but there are some very valuable games there, too. Here's a David Bowie cassette lot. These were not from the Rock and Roll Buy. I bought a bunch of Kenny Chesney, I think, tour shirts. The person had like 20-something shirts, and I paid $10, and in that box ended up being a couple of cassettes, including these 2 David Bowie ones. I had no idea they were in the bottom of the box, but these sold for 20 shipped, which was pretty cool, which paid more than paid for all of my shirts, and I haven't sold one shirt yet, so that's actually the only profit that we made on that one. Here's some Sony digital tapes here. These are little camcorder tapes. It's a 6-pack. I think these were $1 or $2 at a garage sale. They sold for 23 shipped. They go out first class. Sealed media still sell. It really depends on what it is. There is a varying degree, so definitely look it up. Don't pay a ton, but you can always make some money if it's sealed. Nintendo Power pin here. This one sold for 25 shipped. Super cool. It's just a little pin. Nothing crazy, but I bought a bunch of pins. There was a Nintendo Power, a Panasonic, a Pioneer, Technics maybe, or something like that. A couple of like audio brands, and then this Nintendo one. I ended up selling this one for $25 on the best offer. It's been up for a while, probably almost a year. I had it listed, I think, at like 40 or something like that, which was high. I just thought it was cool. But when someone offered 25, it's going to go out first class. I was happy to find it a new home. We have a Todd Rundgren CD. This one sold for 11 shipped, just kind of generic from the Rock and Roll Buy. We sold these little flowers. These are HO flowers here. These ones are HO train, like to set up a little model railway. There's a bunch of flowered trees, I should say. They sold for 29 shipped. I think they went global shipping as well. Testimonies of the Church. I've sold these multiple times. I had a bunch of them. I split them up into different lots. These ones sold for 30 shipped. Go medium mail. These Ranma manga, there were 4 of them. It's missing, I think, volume 4, but they ended up selling for 18 shipped, which is still pretty good for 4 manga. If I can find manga based on like one particular series or set, I'll usually pick them up because you can do okay. A Nike bag, this is like a messenger style one. The funniest thing was I had an offer out for this one for $50 to a buyer. They hadn't accepted or declined yet. Someone swooped in right behind them and picked it up for the full price, $65. So that worked out for me. I got this from a storage unit guy sale. Here's a Scorpions Taken by Force CD, sold for 12 shipped. 8 Sally Golden Bomb Seaside Knitters Mysteries. These were $8, and because they're $1 each at the library sale, and they sold for 47 shipped, which is a great deal. Again, they go medium mail. They probably cost $8 to $9, $10 possibly to ship medium mail, which is still good. For they're pretty heavy books. They're a little bit heavier, so definitely made some money there. Some Vans. These are Floral Vans. They sold for, they paid $5 for them. They sold for 40 shipped. They were a woman's size 6. Really great shape though. Look like they really hadn't been worn. I knew the floral pattern would be a good sell, and they sold in a day or two pretty quickly. Here's a little like sterling heart here. This one sold for 17 shipped on a best offer. It's pretty small, but I got a bunch of jewelry one time. I don't know a lot about jewelry. It's definitely far from my specialty, but that one sold for 17 on the best offer. Another cassette here, Gangstar Daily Operation, sold for 20 shipped. HP 950 ink sold for 13 shipped. This is just one I paid $3 for at the discount store, sold for 13. Another cassette, Getting It by Too Short, sold for 19 shipped. We have Assassin's Creed. This is a PS3 lot. These ones sold for 20 shipped, which is pretty good for 3 kind of lower end PS3 games. So happy about that. An iPhone 7 Plus box. This one sold for 10 shipped. Be careful with these ones, guys. A lot of these boxes, they do sell, but they're so oversaturated right now. It takes a while to sell them. I'm definitely not picking them up as much as I used to unless it's something very new. But again, it sold for $10 if you want to take the time. Here's a Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. This one sold for 10, shipped for PS3. Here's a Bart Simpson phone, sold for 25, shipped. This one came out of a Goodwill buy or online auction where I bought a bunch of phones. This particular was the first one to sell. I did test it out, it does work, and he sold for 25, shipped. And then we have a little Bullet Express Trio blade removal parts. These ones sold for 15. They're just replacement parts for a Bullet Express machine. A PS1 Mini, this one sold for 20, shipped. It did not work. The biggest problem was I copied someone's listing and put untested in the title and forgot to delete it. The buyer actually opened up a return and said it didn't work, but obviously if you look at my notes, well, if you could see them, it would say that it as is, it won't read games. That was in the description, but in the title it said untested, so that kind of hurt me a little bit, but he didn't actually return the item, so the return was closed out. But that really, you don't want to put untested if you know it doesn't work, and untested really opens you up for a return. Better to put that for parts are not working. Don't probably not put it to untested, because people sometimes can use that to abuse the return system a little bit. Some Avery Labels, these sold for 31, shipped. These were $6 I paid at the discount store, and they sold for 31. I think they cost about $8 to ship them. A Ninja Master Prep little blender. This one went just over £1. It cost us like $8.25 to ship at FedEx or something. I sold all the rest of the Ninja stuff. This was the last piece left. This is a Navy uniform. This one sold for 25. I pick these up all the time. $4 in, sells for 25, goes in a pound flat rate. Shaquille O'Neal, $12 for his CD, You Can't Stop the Rain. I think we all need this CD in our life, that's for sure. But that one sold for 12, shipped from the Rock and Roll buy. Marvel Ultimate Alliance for PS2 sold for 9. Woodrow Wilson High School Yearbook sold for 70. Pretty good deal. I don't know if there was anyone unique in there, but someone paid full price, didn't even make an offer. I am happy about that. G.I. Joe Sigma 6. This is a little Cobra figure here. He sold for 24, shipped. I didn't know what his name was. I knew it was G.I. Joe, but I put him in the action figure identification Facebook group, and within minutes someone gave me his name, and then I could look him up, and that's how I got him sold pretty quickly. A Lifelike Cold Tower here. This is like a model kit. It is brand new, but it is opened. The box is kind of crushed. It sold for 18, shipped. And then a Canon PowerShot camera. This one did work, but the zoom function on it, or the adjustment to like change what mode you're in, it would kind of mess up at times and get all crazy and then freeze. So that one sold for 30 for parts. It would have been probably a $45 camera had it worked perfectly. Freddie Hubbard First Light CD sold for 10, shipped. A Life is Good t-shirt sold for 15, shipped. I had that one forever. I paid $2 for it. It was a woman's size extra large. Happy to get rid of it. And lastly, guys, a Le Creuset orange number 22 saucepan and lid. This is one where the inside was a little tattered and beat up. The lid had a kind of a scrape. You can kind of see it probably on the screen. Still took a best offer of 75, shipped. That one, Le Creuset, is a great brand to look out for, even if it's got somewhere people end up buying it. But we're already at 23 minutes, guys. It's been too long. I talked too much. I am sorry, but thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you got something in the video, and look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Take care.